You don't want to retire and be miserable. Well, that's obvious, but you'd be shocked how many people I speak to do retire and go, yeah, well, I wish I worked a few more months because then I actually could have spent what I wanted to the rest of my life. Or I wish I actually kept working because I didn't know how I was going to fulfill my time. And it turns out a lot of my enjoyment was coming from my work. So today I'm going to give you the tips from my clients, the 3 happiest clients, as to what they actually said they did to create happiness. Now, what I'm not going to do is just say, okay, invest better and don't pay more than you need to in taxes. All that stuff's important, but too often I find advisors and other people I talk to just say, yeah, it depends. It does depend, but I want to show you a few examples so you can really understand it. So I've got a fun announcement before we actually get to the fun, and this is coming from one of you. In most of my videos, I'm going to pick a specific comment or a review of the week or something to highlight because I want you guys to know I am reading all of the comments. I see all of them. I like going through them. It's fun for me. So here's what prompted this fun announcement. You can see it right here. This is from Janis Ray. Janis Ray sent me a message on Instagram, Midwife Janis. Says, love your podcasts and videos, love all the stuff you're talking about in regards to retirement. Could you please do a video on books, other resources that you recommend to your clients? Thank you. Keep up with the excellent content. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to show you an example today. Now, here's the important thing for all of you to know. I don't do any advertisements. I know YouTube will put ads on, but I personally don't bring on any advertisers. I don't make any money from advertisements. I don't do that. But what I'm going to talk about today is something I do recommend to my clients. Now, I don't get paid by them, so I don't care whether you use them or don't use them. I do care because I think you're going to benefit from using it, but I don't make any money. So there's no incentive for me to talk about this or not talk about this. In fact, they even offer the product for free if you want to see what I'm saying. So what I'm going to show you, there's a company right here called Parents Are Human. Now, Parents Are Human have a bunch of different decks which have cards in them. Now, I personally use these cards. I found this company when I was on Instagram, and I was like, yeah, this looks kind of interesting. And so when I went to Indonesia recently with my father, I asked him these questions. And since that time, I actually feel that I could not be on planet Earth if I did not know these answers. Meaning, if I knew these answers were out there inside my dad's brain and heart and body, but I couldn't actually get them out of him, or it just would have been difficult. These cards help me do that. I now feel closer to my dad than I've ever felt before. And I believe a lot of you can feel the same way. You're like, whoa, what do you mean by this? This isn't like Roth conversions. You're right. It's not. My clients want to know how to optimize their retirement, which oftentimes is having deep conversations with their parents or their children or their friends so they feel real connection. So on this website, Parents Are Human, there is a way that you can actually, in the lower left, download a digital deck for free. You don't have to pay anything. So if you're like, hey, I just really don't want to pay, you don't have to. Now, the majority of their clients are buying the physical deck so that you can use them when you're speaking to your father or mother, etc. But they also have the option for a digital version, and there's no cost for that. So to Janis Ray's question, I have an episode coming out where I am going to explain the books that I recommend for my clients. I'm going to explain the resources because there are a lot of them. But the main one that I always like to start my meetings with now is saying, hey, if you are going to have 5, 10, 15, 20 million bucks in retirement, good for you. But if you don't feel that there's a connection with those that you care about most, I don't think you're going to have success. Yeah, you're going to have plenty of money, but you're going to wish you did other things along the way and that you understood your mom or dad in a different. And I can just tell you guys because I did this. Now, I recorded this with my father. I recorded this conversation. Now, you can see my dad is 70 years old and here he is surfing and we were in Indonesia and you can see we're having a great time. We loved it, but I personally didn't know if I was going to ask, hey, Dad, I just want to hear a little bit more about what was it like when you're a child and how has your parents influenced you? And it's hard to naturally get into that without really great questions. And that's why I recommend Parents Are Human, but I receive no financial benefit. I recommend if you want to feel closer to your parents or someone else in your life, go ahead and check them out. Now, back to the main episode today. If you don't already know, my name is Taublieb. I'm a certified financial planner. I'm the host of the Early Retirement Podcast, and I'm the vice president at Root Financial Partners. I can already hear some of you going, yeah, biggest, happiest clients, they're going to just invest well, and I'm sure they have plenty of money. And no, just because you have plenty of money does not mean you have success in retirement. I used to think when you had more money, you would just stress less because you have more money. What I find is it's the opposite. When you have more money, you have more to stress about because you have more to lose. And what I want to make sure you're all doing is thinking about this in a new light. So what do my best, happiest clients do? The first thing they do is they dream about their expenses. It doesn't mean they go, oh my gosh, I need to make sure I don't know if I'm going to be able to ever retire, if I can spend this amount. That's not what they're doing. They're going, wait a second. Okay, I think I would like to spend $10,000 a month, but wait a second, maybe I travel a little more at the beginning, or I don't know, maybe it's $8,000 a month. And I say, hey, that's head trash thinking. Let's really dream big. How much would you really love, excluding travel, how much would you love to spend? And they're like, well, I'd really love if I have a mortgage, but that's going to go away. I go, let's keep it really simple. Assume there's no mortgage. Just how much do you need so you can pay for groceries and gas and the basics? And most people say, hey, in the range of $4,000 to $5,000, maybe $6,000 a month. Now, some of you are like, whoa, that's way more than I spend. Yeah. I work with a lot of wealthy clients and they like spending more money. It doesn't mean that they're bad people. It often means they're actually going to work longer than you're going to work. And you're like, wait a second. So you're telling me I could work longer and spend more? Yes, but that might not be important to you. You might prefer to actually work less, even if it means you're spending less. There's no perfect answer here. So I like when my clients dream big, not because I want them to spend $1 gazillion, but because I want them to go, wait a second. Okay, so if I work until 62, I can spend $12,000 a month the rest of my life. That's awesome. And I'm going to want to travel, probably spend $30,000 to $40,000 a year extra in travel, but not forever, just the first 10 years. Awesome. So the first thing is my happiest clients, they really took the time to understand how much they would love to spend, not how much they could get by, not how much they felt that maybe they could make. How much would they love to spend? Once you know that, it doesn't mean they always do that. I have a client that wanted to spend $14,000 a month, but they really didn't want to work until 63. And so they said, you know what, if it means I'm spending $12,000 a month, I think that's more than okay for me. Yeah, I'd love to spend 14, but I don't want to work till 63. So they were retiring at 60 and they've had a lovely retirement. And they then said, hey, I think 14,000 was almost me being unnecessarily conservative. Now, I'm a conservative planner, but a lot of you are going, listen, I don't want to run the risk of running out. And then you're too conservative. And now here we are with too much money going, why didn't I retire earlier? So yes, dream big on the expenses, but don't marry it. That's number one. Number two, my happiest clients, they ask themselves what matters most and how do we accomplish that? Let me give you an example. They really want to travel. A lot of my clients love traveling. Some want to do first class everywhere. Some just want to get in an RV and have a great time. If you are like, hey, I know me and I'm a luxurious traveler, I like doing it, don't feel any shame. I would say that's cool if that's what you like doing. I love playing soccer. I bought a semi-professional soccer team with my brother. Does that make any financial sense? No. I love doing it. I get to spend time with him. It's beyond just the financial aspect. So ask yourself, okay, what would you love to do? Got it. You'd love to travel? How much would you really spend? And you're like, oh, this kind of sounds like the first point. It's different. Here's why. I told this client, I said, hey, I know you want to travel because you've been talking about it the last 3 meetings. And every time I talk about tax planning, your face starts to get a little like this. And when we talk about travel, it gets like this. And they're like, yeah, that's true. I go, well, here's what's happening. You're excited about travel, and I don't want you to just keep working for the sake of working. So would you consider part-time income? And they go, not in the traditional sense, but my job has flexibility, and what I don't want to do is travel and kind of half be there with my brain half in work. I go, great, then maybe that's not an option for you. And they said, but my spouse likes doing that, and it's kind of nice for us as a partnership because I like to go sightsee and they like traveling, but they don't like to see as much as I like to see. I go, great. Well, if your partner enjoys working anyways and wants to bring in $40,000 a year just in terms of consulting or whatever it is they're doing, that can really help you travel because it's not $40,000 I really care about. It's $40,000 less coming from your portfolio, which lets that keep compounding. So the point here, many people think that bringing in $20 or $30 or $50,000 doesn't really make a big difference into retirement. The truth is it makes a huge difference, and it's not the 20 or 30 I care about. Once again, it's the fact that you're bringing in income to help bridge the gap of these key years before Social Security gets turned on and maybe rental income or a pension. That's the real magic. So make sure your retirement isn't this cookie cutter type of thing. Now, many of you have seen this, but if you haven't, I'm going to show it to you again. You can see it right here. This is my anti-cookie cutter jar. It says, anti-cookie cutter jar, love the pod. This was sent a while ago now, and I love it because I don't believe in cookie cutter. What's your risk tolerance on a scale of 1 to 10? You're like, well, I'm at 2 today and an 8 tomorrow. That's not really going to help me retire. Now, it's good to know, okay, what would you be comfortable with if markets went down 30%? You might go, hey, that's not the experience I'm looking for in retirement. But the point of the jar here is don't have a cookie cutter experience. You might have head trash right now going, hey, I'm in my 40s, 50s. I think I'm in a kind of good spot to maybe retire early. I don't know when. Maybe you're in your early 60s going, yep, this is me. I'm really kind of right in this range here. But you know what? My neighbor's nowhere close to retiring. So am I like totally off with my projections? No, that's head trash. It's very likely that you're watching this video because you are optimizing and you are trying to work as hard as you can to put yourself in the best position. And then the third one, this is the biggest one my clients did. And I love talking about this because I find too many people, they don't just gloss over it for the sake of glossing over it. I think they don't bring it up because they don't specifically focus on early retirement planning. Let me give you an example. If you're going to retire early, you might need this income for 40 or 50 plus years. And the reality is, I don't know how long any of us are going to live, but you don't want to not plan properly and now all of a sudden we're in our 80s and 90s and in a tough spot. So here's my point. There's something called sequence of return risk. You're like, what did you just say? Give it to me in English. What that means is, what if I retire and get unlucky? Now, if you look it up online, it's not going to say that. That's my own definition, but it's the real definition in plain English. What if you retire, markets go down, now you want to spend on travel, now you have healthcare expenses, now you're doing a remodel, and now you're withdrawing too much from your portfolio? The risk isn't that you're not going to be okay. You'd probably be okay, but you probably wouldn't be able to spend what you actually want to spend the rest of your retirement, which I would argue means you're not okay. So my point here is I want to make sure you understand that there are going to be expenses in retirement and you can plan for them and start tackling the big ones before you retire. A lot of you know I talk about what's called the superhero account. That's a brokerage account. That lets you retire early because you don't have to tap into your retirement money. So the point here of the story is I have a client that wanted to retire early and they were 53. They had about $6.5 million and it was all in a 401k. And they did not want to pay the taxes and the penalty in association with withdrawing the money. Once again, they're 53. And so they kept working and it really took a big toll on their health. And if they just had a brokerage account, they would have been able to retire earlier. Yes, they wouldn't have gotten a tax deduction, but the tax deduction doesn't outweigh the fact that they could have had access to their funds. So most of my clients care about financial flexibility. They want to know when they can work, and it's because they want to, not because they have to. And then, pro tip, most people don't stop working. They go, wow, really good to know. I'm working 2 more years so I can travel to this degree and do this. Awesome. I want you to know the earliest time you can work, but it's because you want to, not because you have to. I know you can work anytime, but I want to make sure you are optimizing. So the big kind of pro tip here, I have a client. They were really scared about health insurance costs and they weren't in good health and it was going to cost a lot. They wanted the luxurious travel and they were retiring at 57. So here they are and they're like, all right, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. And they weren't in good health once again. And so they were going to turn on Social Security at 62. So they're like, listen, all right, I've got 5 years here. I don't really know how to optimize this. I don't want to spend. And I have 2 thoughts going on. I have thought number 1 over here going, listen, I only have my portfolio. I don't have Social Security or my pension yet. So I really don't want to spend too much because it's all up to my portfolio. And at the same time, I have this other thought, which is going, wait a second, these are my years of energy and health. How much can I spend? Most people have those thoughts competing constantly. And imagine adding on another layer of, well, what if markets go down? And what if we're doing a home remodel? And so as much as you can, try to tackle, I know it's not perfect, the big expenses before you retire. If there's a remodel, if there's an RV you want to purchase, if there's travel plans the first few years of retirement, can we start saving for these things and maybe start even doing them before you retire and now subjecting yourself to this big risk of markets go down, remodel, travel, healthcare, and now you might not get to spend what you want the rest of your retirement. So these are the main helpful tips from my happiest clients that are like, Ari, please share this with your audience. Hopefully you found this helpful. If so, please like and comment on this video of what you want to see next. I get to hear it from all of you. And if you're looking for a custom strategy, that's what I love doing. Everything from tax to withdrawal to insurance to estate to healthcare, we do it all for our clients. It's your one-stop solution for everything financial planning related, designed for an early retirement. It's not for everyone. I always joke there's 4 hoops I make everyone jump through before considering to hire an advisor. Number 1, are you a fiduciary? Number 2, are you a certified financial planner? Number 3, do you specifically work with people retiring early? And number 4, do you do holistic planning, and is it at a fair cost? Those are the questions you want to ask yourself before you're hiring an advisor. And the truth is 75 to 80% of people that are coming to me, they have an advisor, but there's something missing. Or they've been waiting to find an advisor, but they want to really make sure they were the right one. And I believe we are that right one for a lot of people. So if you're interested, you can go ahead and see the description and you can find a way to apply to work with us. And guys, thank you again for this video. Love you. See you next time.